Despite being down 25% over the past month, the Rndr token continues to be one of the best performing large cap altcoins, up over 2,000% from its bear market bottom. And we just saw the Rndr team actually launch a new proposal which is aiming to significantly change the tokenomics for this project. And in today's episode of the Everything Crypto Show, I'm going to break down exactly what this means for the token emissions, the token burns, and also what this could potentially mean for the price action. Now, before we hop into the content, just a friendly reminder that I am not a financial advisor. I am simply here for your crypto news and entertainment purposes. And if you do enjoy the content, please consider hitting that sub and like button and turn that notification bell on so you can be notified when all of our latest videos go live on the channel. So we're going to get right into today's altcoin of discussion, and we are back today to talk about Rndr. I've been covering this altcoin on my channel here pretty much on a weekly basis since last year, and with good reason. I mean, since the beginning of last year, this has been one of the best performing large cap alts from its bottom at 40 cents, currently sitting at $8.20. That marks over a 2,200% move from the lows. And this really has benefited a lot from the AI narrative, the massive run that Nvidia has gone on. And Nvidia has definitely had a very impressive performance. If we actually take a look at Nvidia's stock from its bear market low, or rather from its 2022 low, I mean, this stock is up like 681%, sitting at a $2.2 trillion market cap, one of the biggest stories in the traditional finance markets. And it appears that not as many people are talking about Rndr here, which has significantly outperformed Nvidia. And I do believe that this altcoin is set to be the biggest beneficiary from the AI narrative, which I do think is one of the biggest, if not the biggest narrative for this bull run. So that's why we've been focusing so much on this project. Additionally, I do think it's worth noting that a lot of different altcoins out there have really been trying to associate themselves with AI while really not having anything to do with AI. And the Rndr network is not like that at all. The Rndr network is basically offering the GPU supply for AI use cases through their decentralized GPU infrastructure, basically a blockchain marketplace for idle GPU compute where people are able to contribute their GPU power and have it used for a ton of different use cases, basically from 3D content creation to artificial intelligence tasks like large language models and more. Also spatial content, which has had a lot more focus as of late with the Apple Vision Pro and whatnot. And they're basically providing the infrastructure at a time where the demand for AI is so high and the supply is really the bottleneck. So that's why I think Rndr has been a big beneficiary of the narrative, because it is actually in the AI sector, with the Rndr token powering the different use cases and the incentives for their decentralized GPU platform. And speaking of these, the incentives, that is what the Rndr team is looking to kind of adjust here with RNP 13, year one emissions rebalancing. And this is definitely relevant if you are a holder of the token, because it does impact the emission schedule as well as the burn mint equilibrium. So they say here, following the first quarter of the burn mint equilibrium, which has seen just over 53,000 Rndr tokens burned, the effects of the new economic model are now live and well within the Rndr network. Learning from the market dynamics, this RNP aims to rebalance the network emissions passed by the community in November of 2023 in RNP 006 and proposed in January 2023 in RNP 001, which is really when we saw this altcoin start to take off. So new opportunities have proven that the initially proposed budget from the year one emissions can be improved to meet the adapted goals of the network. So really just looking to make more efficient use of the Rndr token for the overall growth of the network. They say here this proposal seeks to align incentives in a more equitable manner and to allocate such incentives to where they are currently most needed in order to continue to support the long-term growth of the Rndr network. Now, with the impact of AI set to unfold over the coming decades, not years or months, the network must preserve emissions for future applications in AI while expanding current usage in their current 3D rendering product. As a result, this RNP proposes to reallocate emissions that were outlined in RNP 006. The total amount of current network emissions today remains unchanged. However, some emissions are being underutilized that they are basically looking to shift to a new pool for AI dataset generation and customer acquisition, two of the biggest and most important things for this project, in my opinion. So right off the bat, I am already a fan of this sort of shift for emissions and incentives. All these emission pools will have a longer release structure. The effect is a slower release of network emissions that is better synchronized with the growth of new applications, beginning with the proposals such as RNP 11. Now, RNP 11 was a very big proposal that basically looked to have the Rndr token, or rather the Rndr network, train and create millions of 3D training assets, which would have to be purchased exclusively in Rndr tokens on the network. And it also looked to introduce staking. Okay, so that's why they speak about RNP 13 in relation to, RNP 11 in relation to RNP 13. So stakeholders are able to participate in these future emissions and may receive reputational multipliers for their early contributions to the network, providing long-term incentive alignment. So here's the allocation schedule as approved by RNP 006, and you can see the breakdown for Rndr node operators, liquidity providers, artists, and then compute client nodes and upgrade points rewards. And they basically go on to show you the total emissions as well as the total incentives that they are currently offering. And what they are looking to do is really just be more efficient with their use of their native token, which has been gaining a lot of value and does have implications on the price action. So they kind of break it down more in depth over here. And if you do want to read it, more in detail, you can go ahead and check out the proposal yourself. But what I'm going to really do is break down what this means overall if you are a holder of this token. So in summary, emissions are being rebalanced to reduce upfront emissions, which are underutilized today, and reallocate them to longer-term network expansions like RNP 11, which do require additional compute resources. Not to mention, RNP 11 looking to offer staking would also have an impact on the tokenomics, removing a portion of Rndr from the buying-selling markets and really incentivizing people to stake their Rndr for that passive income. So by changing the sequence of emissions released, the network has a mechanism to incentivize long-term expansion of network infrastructure without needing to introduce new emissions. Advances in the Solana ecosystem, like the remarkable growth of Solana DeFi, enables this rebalancing to occur. Meanwhile, changes in compute emissions are recalibrated to more closely capture work on the network, including adjusting emissions distribution to improve allocation equity. RNP 14 provides more detail on compute availability rewards, which we will break down in another video. This is more important, I think, to just focus on today. And forthcoming RNPs associated with RNP 11 aim to introduce mechanisms for existing network stakeholders to participate in the future compute initiatives funded by the emissions rebalancing. So as for the drawbacks here, which they do also discuss as well, rebalancing emissions is more of an art than a science. This proposal aims to correct a very eager emissions allocation proposed with the explicit goal of growing network usage. With the support of the community, we hope to strike a balance between allocating tokens to existing network participants and finding new ways to utilize BME, the burn mint equilibrium, to grow the Rndr network. And they basically say that they intend to monitor this looking forward, and changes will continue at least on a quarterly basis going forward. So looking to continuously adjust the emission schedule, which I am all for if they're looking to make it more efficient. I mean, you can see here that we have a total max supply of 536.8 million Rndr tokens. 386 mil are on the market, so about 72% are already in circulation with 28% left to go. And they're looking to make the most of this 28% for the growth initiatives of the network. And here's a big basically summary for what exactly they're looking to do. But overall, I mean, based on this right here, it looks like they're really looking to reallocate these emissions to incentives where they are more heavily needed. And a big one they keep mentioning is RNP 11, which I do think a lot of focus should be on, okay? Introducing staking and this 3D data set that must be purchased with Rndr tokens basically adds a lot of utility to the token and a lot more demand while also decreasing the supply available. So reallocating for this purpose, I'm definitely a fan of myself, and therefore I do think that this proposal is a very good one, and I do hope that it passes. Additionally, I do want to kind of take a look at the chart to wrap things up. Okay, we haven't spoken about Rndr in maybe a week now, but since then it has actually broken below a key level of support at $8.80. And this is significant because it was the 2021 all-time high. So when we are above this, it is support. When we are below it, it is some heavy resistance. And despite a fake out on the weekly chart here, we are once again below that level. So what I am looking for when it comes to Rndr is potentially a fall back down to the $7.36 level, which does align with the bull market support band over here. You can see that on both weeks that Rndr actually went below or touched the bull market support band. It did validate it as a level of support, so I do expect, it to make its way back down here if it is below its 2021 all-time high. And I'm not just saying this about Rndr, okay? The majority of the altcoin market right now doesn't look like it wants to pull back. We can actually see here, if we take a look at Total 3, similar to Rndr, bouncing off its bull market support band, actually above an area of support at 629 bill. Sitting at 653, but if it breaks below that here, I would expect altcoins to decline further. And, I am very bullish on Rndr. It has been a very good performer, but it would not be immune to this pullback. So that's what I'm looking for when it comes to the Rndr token. If we somehow break above 880, if the market does flip bullish here, I would expect it to basically just kind of backtest that, look for it as support, and then continue to chug its way back up to all-time highs at $13.50. However, I think the more likely scenario based on the price action is for a pullback to the bull market support band. Maybe let the market kind of simmer out here for a couple of months. And if we take a look at Bitcoin as well, which is relevant to the overall market, I mean, we can see here we've got like 4 weekly candles in a row. It's kind of just hanging out, and that's okay because we had a really bullish 2023 and, kind of beginning to 2024. So if the market wants to cool off here and then reaccelerate in the latter half of the year, potentially in line with an Ethereum spot ETF, which could drive the market to the upside, I would definitely be okay with that. And, either way, I do remain bullish whether the market goes up now or whether or not it wants to consolidate and then actually go up more. In fact, I think the latter scenario is more bullish. I really don't think it's healthy for things to just go up in a straight line. They need to consolidate, digest some gains, get some sellers out of there, get a new base of buyers, and then continue on the next leg up. So none of the price action concerns me. In fact, the only thing I'm really looking for here is potentially another buying opportunity. And as always, I will keep you guys updated on what is going on with the news and the charts for the Rndr token. So on that note, I hope you did enjoy the content in today's video. I hope you are all staying happy, safe, and healthy, and I hope to catch you in the next one. Peace out for now.